Good morning, dreamers. Hello, hello, and welcome. It is Friday. That means it is art and tech time. I am joined by, of course, the one and only Tech Bubble, who is joining us from the West Coast. I'm here on the East Coast of the US, and we are ready to get into some questions this morning. We're going to be talking about DAOs. So if you have DAO related questions, if you're wondering what the hell is a DAO, why should I care, or if you have more nuanced questions about a DAO, please drop them in the comments. We are going to be here for about 30 to 45 minutes taking your questions. So, good morning, Nick. How are you?
I'm very good. It's bright and early, but ready to go. Just super glad that this heat wave here. I don't know if you've heard, but the West Coast has had like a terrible heat wave. We've had like as much as 115 degrees,
What?
which I know is in some countries people go like, yeah, whatever, But here it's huge, and so it's been really bad, and they've really had us conserve power and all that. But hopefully the weekend we go in, it'll be better. So yeah, and I'm still on a high from last night's Dream Team stream that we did with Nifty Dreams.
So
We did a massive art buy there. We purchased 17 artworks from Dreamers live on the air.
and I heard the majority of the Dreamers works that were purchased were actually people who had not sold before.
Yep, that's what we were trying to do. Yes. So
Amazing. Well, congrats to everybody who got their first sale last night, and congrats to all the dreamers. We are so excited to spend time with you. We do these sessions once a week to really just break down, and kind of just explore some of the topics that are, tech related, that some of us as creatives, i.e., me, struggle with the language a little. It's still a learning curve. So we're here to just kind of break it down and get into the information that you really need to know as opposed to all of the other stuff. So we do have Nick's techie brain with us. We asked Nick to always take it slowly with the explanations, or put it into artist jargon that we can understand. So what we decided today was that we would talk about just a DAO and the fundamentals of what it is, why you need it, how it's going to shape the future. So Nick, let's just start off with like a comparison as to what a DAO is in terms of something that already exists.
yep. A comparison of a DAO is something that you might be used to in many countries. The place where you live has a homeowners association. In some places, I think in India they call it colonies, or things like that. It's essentially a group of people who live together, and they elect a smaller group to sort of manage the upkeep of the buildings, maybe the flowers and the lawns and all that, the services coming in, the security guard, all that kind of stuff. So that's a small microcosm, and that's like a DAO. So a DAO stands for decentralized autonomous organization, which is a mouthful. We can forget all of that. It's just another way to say collective, a group of people that are working together for a common purpose. That's it. So, um, I think the logical question is like, well, isn't that companies? Don't we already have that? So the difference here between a DAO and a company is that in a company, the power and the wealth is concentrated among just a few people. So if you think about power, right? Most people in the organization do their job. They're told what to do. Here's your tasks. You get paid for doing these tasks. The power is held by people at the typically what we call the CXO level, so CEO, COO, CFO, CMO, etc., and the board of directors, and maybe the large stockholders. They get to have a say in what happens in the company. But the ordinary person, maybe they have a suggestion box or something, and you drop a suggestion in there. But beyond that, you don't have any control. So the difference with a DAO is anyone at any time can propose something, and their proposal goes through whatever process the DAO has set up, and the general membership of the DAO can vote on it. And if they approve, that's it. The DAO does whatever it is that has been proposed, which is, I think, very beautiful and very elegant, but also could be chaotic if not managed properly.
Mm. So one of the things that comes up sometimes when people, there's always naysayers, right? Everybody wants to have something negative to say when there's something new that we are not accustomed to. So one of the things that comes up that I would like to debunk is that DAOs move a lot slower than kind of your average company because there's so many cooks, right? They say too many cooks makes for laborious work. So what is your kind of take on that? Do you think that that's accurate? Do you think we'll see more stagnant kind of long-term decisions?
I would disagree with that thesis. I would agree. I would, in fact, say that companies move a lot slower because they have to do planning, they have to do budgeting, they do analysis, market research, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas with the DAO, it's much more organic. So Rachel, you have to look at this like any other situation. All DAOs are not equal. All companies are not equal. There's differences in culture. There's differences in methodology. There's differences in rules and workflow, etc. So if you want to create a DAO that is, for example, about managing, like, I don't know, $1 billion fund, you're going to have processes in there to be a little slower than if you had a DAO which was about a social media thing, where it's like, vote tomorrow, it's active. So it's, I think you have to take it in context. I don't think there is a one size fits all, and you cannot label all DAOs as slow or all companies as slow. It's very different.
I'm curious to see how a DAO that is based on people, the voting community, are emotional decision makers. We're creatives, we're empaths. Like,
Yeah.
I'm speaking for myself, but I think the majority of artists that I've met, we're empathetic, we're emotionally driven, versus the world where you come from, the kind of startup tech culture, which are very factual decision makers, right? Based on data, they make their decisions. Like, how that will compare in terms of like the way things move forward. So it's going to be interesting to see that play out.
Yeah, and I think the onus is on us to make sure that we have the right balance of inputs of people making the decisions. Just because a majority of the dreamers, as we call them in Nifty Dreams, are artists, does not mean that they are incapable of making rational decisions about other domains, because a lot of them are, in fact, professionally, architects, accountants, lawyers, whatnot, right? And right now they're pursuing art as a hobby. So I feel like, yes, you're right about the more right brain, emotional kind of approach to it. But I feel that ultimately people have good judgment about these things, and I'm inclined to believe that that a good discussion brings to the surface the key points that people need to understand. Because I think even if you're emotional, if you understand the topic well, you can make a good decision about it. So that's it's on us to make sure that people understand the subject matter.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely some great questions coming in, guys. So please do keep them coming. One of the questions that I think is important for the community and the dreamers to understand is how stuff will actually happen, how things will come to fruition. So, like, for example, if somebody has an idea and it's that one brilliant idea and it is put forward and presented, what is the timeline? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it really depends on what your idea is about. If your idea is about, for example, improving how the DAO functions or something, then what you would do is you would submit your idea to the appropriate guild. Now, I haven't used that term in this talk yet, so let's talk about that. A DAO is not just a bunch of people thrown together. That would be chaos. That would not work, right? So you got to have some structure. So different DAOs have different terms for it. So it could be teams, groups. We've chosen guilds because I think it's more in line with artists and things like that. Also, so we have different guilds. We have a strategy guild, we have a project guild, an events guild, an operations guild, and so on. So you would want to approach the guild that deals with whatever your idea is. So maybe your idea is about how to improve communications, then that would be the operations guild, right? So you would hit them up with that idea, and they would then go through the process that is they have. For some of the guilds, we'll have a much more formal process. Like for the projects guild, we have a much more formal process than for the operations guild, which might just be like, okay, the guild leads and the co-leads look at your thing and go, that looks good, we'll do it, kind of. But you should approach this more in terms of scale. what is the impact of your decision? If your impact of the decision is small, then it's probably going to be handled at the guild level. If the impact of whatever it is, I said decision, but proposal is what I meant. Sorry, it's too early. Only one chai so far. But if the impact of your proposal is larger in scope, has a financial impact on the DAO, then it's got to go through the whole DAO and vote. And so one of the things we are doing is kind of laying the groundwork for some of these financial levels. Like if the decision is under $500, it's handled at the guild level. I'm not saying that that's it. I'm just saying as an example. If it's over, then it has to go through this level and so on and so forth.
Which is something we touched on yesterday in our kind of team training about how the mechanics of that work, so that there's never really just one person in the DAO who's in charge of like a large sum of money in decision making. Yeah. We'll have multi-signature wallets, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, very exciting. So somebody has a question here. Good morning, Mo Angel, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. How are guild placements going to work, and what qualifications do you require to join the guilds?
This is a very good question. So I'll just start out by saying that we are a little behind on getting the guilds, etc., going, just because there's just too much going on and too few people to complete things. But our goal here is we've identified the guild leads and co-leads. We are going to get them to finish signing up their contributor agreements. And then what we have is a separate application form we have put where there are almost 200 applicants at this point. We're going to have the guild leads and co-leads pull from that, draw from that the appropriate team members they need. And that's how sort of the teams will be formed. I don't have the link at the top, but if you go to niftydreams.com/go, you're going to find every link there. And one of the links is the contributor link. You can still complete that because the team selections, I feel confident saying that we will actually start picking things, picking people next week. Yeah, that's in terms of qualifications. It depends, right? Like if I have, for example, the operations guild, and let's take you, Rachel. You're the lead for marketing on there, and you need someone who's a good copywriter. Well, you're going to scour that list and look for someone who's a good copywriter and do that. So if you need someone who's a programmer, you're going to scour the list and look for that. So all skills are and all qualifications are needed, but it will depend on the guild leads on what role they need. Now, keep in mind that there are 3 types of contributors. That's very important to know. One is a contributor who's a volunteer, who's on the team, who gives a part-time kind of role where they're available for 10, 15 hours a week or whatever they are willing to contribute as a volunteer. That's one. 2, we're going to have contributors whose role is critical to the functioning of the DAO. And so they are there on a contractual basis almost, and they are paid a stipend. So maybe you have someone who's available 20 hours a week and they are paid a stipend for 20 hours a week. And the third one, which is I think what most people will end up doing, is a bounty-based kind of contributor, where your marketing guild might have, all right, here's a list of all the tasks we need done. You would have pre-qualified some of those contributors because you can't just let anyone randomly come and grab that, right? So if from that pre-qualified group, any one of them can grab that task and say, okay, I want to do that task. I'm available. I have 2 hours right now. Get it done. Move on. So that's the 3 types of contributors we'll have.
Amazing. So we have some interesting questions. Not sure if this one is particularly DAO related, but in fact, many blockchain projects have not solved problems yet. They only exist to sell their tokens. What is the problem that Nifty Dream Vision is solving, and what solutions are you providing? So this is...
Yeah, so I would strongly disagree with the initial statement. It has no basis in fact. There are, in fact, lots of blockchain projects that have solved immense problems. One example would be Uniswap. It has created programmable money and the ability for people to swap cryptocurrencies of different kinds without requiring a centralized exchange. That's just one, but there's many other examples. The ecosystem we are in right now with NFTs is another huge example. So I would say that the first statement is not true. The second statement is, what problem is Nifty Dream solving? So we are seeing an ecosystem where there are literally thousands of artists joining every day and wanting to take advantage of this new technology called NFTs. And the only avenue they have right now for making money is marketplaces. Marketplaces are saturated because of this. There's only a finite number of collectors, there's not that many of them, and they have a finite amount of capital to spend. So as a result, what you have is a lot of artists coming on board and really spending a lot of time, weeks, months, uh, waiting for an artwork to be sold. So this is a problem, and it needs to be solved. And we are solving it by essentially employing what is called an incubator model. So what the DAO is doing is experimenting with various different projects that are all designed with one goal in mind. How can we find new ways to monetize NFT art? And our current thesis is that the retail channels are the best channels for doing that, for creating personalization and using one-of-one art in personalized scenarios. So that's basically what our solution is. And we are already testing it out. We already have a partner in Diverge Sneakers in Portugal. So they are selling in 65 countries, and they want us to have one-of-one art on all their sneakers. So this is not a fantasy, a fiction. This is real. It's happening. And every day we have so many inbounds from so many different companies wanting to have collabs. So we're going to sort those out and steadily grow the number of ways in which artists can make a recurring income. That's the key phrase there. Right now with marketplaces, you have one-off, like, okay, you might make a sale. It'll give you that dopamine hit. Then money might last a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, depending on what country you're in. Then what? Back to the same cycle. We don't want that. What we want to do is have a steady state of income for artists so that they can predictably pay their rent, predictably pay their bills, and that's what we are doing. That's our solution.
It's not sustainable, right? We're all about, getting those one-on-one sales because that's what we've been programmed to believe is a barometer for success as artists. But in fact, there is a much bigger, broader goal here. The goal is to have success at scale for all of us. And I think it's interesting because we're seeing now a lot of the, major brands starting to try to enter Web3. And the way that they're doing that is interesting because their goal is, okay, how do we penetrate this market? How do we get in front of all of these people in the most effective way? So currently they're going to the large scale kind of generative projects like we've seen Tiffany's with Bored Ape Yacht Club. We just saw yesterday that Dead Fellas has partnered with Wrangler jeans, which is like totally surprising and out of the blue. But we're seeing more and more of this happen. So the reason that I feel that they're going to these large scale projects as opposed to the plethora of talent we have with one-of-one artists is because they have that built-in audience, right? They have that culture, they have that just a trust, right? They've built trust with their audience. And I feel by uniting so many artists together under the Nifty Dreams brand, we're going to inherently have that, right? We're going to have that trust because we're going to have 10,000 people in our community who are brilliant creatives. So at that point, when we have that audience, so this is why it's so crucial, guys, that we get more and more dreamers. Like we need to think abundantly about growing this community because there's power in numbers. There's power in us going to or even welcoming conversations from some major brands when we have this army of a community.
Yeah, and trust is important. But Rachel, I mean, you've dealt with enough marketers in enterprise scenarios to know that they are busy people. They're not going to go around trying to make deals with 500 artists. It's a one-stop. They need one place, one entity with which they can negotiate, make a deal, and make sure it gets fulfilled. This is why they're going with the large projects, because they can do that. So now Nifty Dreams will be that project that they can contact and say, hey, I'm interested in doing a collab for my brand. How do I get started? And we'll be like, well, here's how you get started.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think this is another interesting question. And I think so many of our questions as artists are totally valid, right? Because we have been very much in a silo, right? We've been in kind of an echo chamber with the authoritative figures, the gatekeepers telling us what success is, right? So it's success for us, and please correct me if I'm wrong. In fact, tell us, what does success mean to you as an artist? Like, what does it mean? For most of us, and most of the artists I've worked with, it's like get a gallery show, get in a museum, have like a big collector. But actually, what happens often when people get that gallery show is it's a big disappointment, right? Because it doesn't meet all those expectations that we've had, and it becomes more of like a vanity metric almost.
Yeah.
So I would love to just kind of hear your thoughts. I obviously know some of your thoughts on where this is going, but what is the plan in terms of like physically showcasing artists' work?
Yeah, and to your point, again, those the galleries, the museums, the one-off collector, etc. Those are all dopamine hits. I want to be very pragmatic about this, Rachel. This is about a steady state income. That's what we are focused on. So let's talk about the physical galleries, etc. Right? Like we are making deals with galleries in New York, in LA, right now. We already have those in place, and the reason we want to do that is because right now, somehow we have come to believe that magically people in crypto will start liking one of one art and becoming collectors. The fact of the matter is, that's a high bar for most people to just, PFP projects are interesting to them because there's some element of gamification, there's some element of utility, etc. to it. But if you just talk about pure collectibles, people are not miraculously just going to become art collectors, right? It requires a certain type of person. But the people who love art are already there. They are going to galleries. There are gallery events. There's, nights they have a cocktail party, whatnot. They get people to come look at the art, etc. So those are the people we need to get to first. And they are the ones who can convert to NFTs. So the solution is to have intermingling of physical fine art with screens where you can see NFT art, and more importantly, make it super simple. Point your phone at a QR code, use your Apple Pay, use your Android Pay or whatever, pay, and we'll create essentially have a wallet for you in there that's built in, so you don't have to worry about all this MetaMask and crypto and all that, and acquire that. So this is the kind of scenario we want to go forth with, and I think that physical galleries do have a place, and we will give artists the dream of being in a physical gallery also, but we also will make it so that it's sustainable.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, we're really in kind of like Web 2.5, right? We're not
Yeah,
quite in
exactly.
the place where we plan to be. So while we get there, we're going to put these things in place to bridge the success, which is kind of what we did with the marketing course yesterday. Like we did a marketing program which went really, really well. The feedback was amazing. We did that because we want you to have immediate tools in your hands right now that you can go out and actually hit the ground running and start seeing some success.
Yeah.
So yes, all right, lots of questions. We're going to keep them coming. Let's see. So yes, I think we already kind of answered this, but sky's the limit in terms of like where we could potentially see artwork.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we are headed to the retail channel, which is a multi-billion-dollar channel. There's so many domains, there's so many, but the ones that we start off with first are the ones that are about personalization, about things you wear, things you carry, things you have for your comfort. Those are easy. And then we go on to the accoutrements of your house, right? Like whether it's your curtains, your bed sheets, your pillowcases, vases, like all those kind of things are available for us to pursue. So we'll go where the market takes us instead of us trying to shape the market. I think the people who are in the retail business are acutely aware of this market and its opportunities, and I think they're looking. What we have to do is meet them and present options that are really attractive, where it becomes a no-brainer for them. I saw a really good question that I want to take on here, Rachel. It was from me, Mega, about being. Can I put that up here?
Yeah. Oh, I see this one.
Yeah. So I'm a housewife and can't spend much time on social media spaces and other activities. I'm not able to participate in most of the competitions. How can Nifty Dreams help me? Well, me, Mega, the whole point of Nifty Dreams is to address that issue. We feel that artists should be creating art, period. That's it. We don't want you to have to do any of those things about social media spaces, etc. And right now, as Rachel said very appropriately, we are programmed, artists are programmed to think that the marketplaces are it, right? That is the only solution available to you. But I'm here to tell you that the marketplaces are not going anywhere fast. They are plateaued, they are flat. And so there is going to be a finite number of sales coming from that in the future. It's not going to grow very rapidly. So we have to find new avenues, and those avenues are where the artist really just essentially consigns their work to the DAO, and the DAO figures out how to make help you make money from that. And as I mentioned again, recurring revenue, that's what we are going for, right? So we want you to continue, taking care of your family, your kids, and doing your art. That's it. You focus on whatever it is that you want to do, but the DAO is going to be responsible for monetizing your art, and not only monetizing it, but monetizing it at scale and in a way that you can have a consistent income, predictable income. That's what we are getting to. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we can work miracles. This is a process. We just getting off the starting blocks here, right? Mm-hmm. But that is our goal. And the more artists that start understanding that marketplaces are not the long-term avenue for their personal success, the faster we can move. Right now, we are slow to take off because we are still trying to convince artists of the value proposition of Nifty Dreams. It's so radically different that people aren't able to wrap their brains around it. And we understand that. And so we are going to help artists understand that this is a project that is not a marketplace. It's not a PFP project. It's not a business. It is a group. It is a collective of artists. And our mission is to make it possible so that in the future, you can have an income stream just like anyone else, a software engineer, a web designer, any of those, like a predictable, steady state income just by creating your art. That's what we are getting at.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some other questions here. I want to make sure I get to everybody. So while we have the needs for help, is it going to be charged? If so, what is the service different than other service providers? We're not technically a service provider, right?
I think they're asking about fees. So the DAO is not in the business of making profit. So any fees we charge will be minimal to cover our costs, like maybe like 1% or something like that. Most of the funds that come from whatever projects we do are going right directly to you. So this is important to understand, folks. We're not a business. We are you. Every artist out there, we are a group of you together working for our collective success. This is as simply as I can put it. We are not a third party. We are not an entity. We are not a service provider. We are not a business. We are not a marketplace. We are us together, collectively working for this goal.
It's a hard thing to fathom because we're so used to the kind of architecture of how businesses have been structured for so long, right? That we are not in the driving seat, so it is a hard concept to wrap our minds around. But like Nick shared, like we'll be the ones putting things up for votes. We'll be the ones voting on what actually, which projects get funded. That's kind of how it's going to work on a very granular level. So, I see already somebody coming through with a great, proposal. Like these are ideas. That's what we need. We have an amazing wealth of creative people with ideas, right? Bring the ideas to the DAO. They're voted on by the collective, group, and then funds are directed into those projects. So that's essentially how it works.
Yep. Yeah. This is a great idea. No ID in NFT crypto. This is just fantastic idea. And I hope that once we start, getting the project grants out there, that you'll submit a project idea for this and actually bring this to life. Work with a large concert organizer and make this happen. So absolutely, we'd love to have that.
And let's talk about like the kind of processes of when a project gets funded. So say this idea is brought to us, the collective votes on it and is like, yes, this is the one. Like, what is our process going to look like? Because we have a number of different guilds that will come together to execute.
Yeah. So the two main guilds that we have to think about in this context are the projects guild and the events guild. So if it's a transient event, something that happens 2 or 3 days, one night, whatever, then that would go into events. But if it's something that is substantial, like the idea that was just there, it would go into the projects guild. Now, here's the way. We have $1.25 million allocated for these projects this season. So what we will do is, first of all, have a idea submission sort of period. Let's say that's 2 to 3 weeks. In that time period, everyone will submit their ideas, and their idea is not just a line like this. It needs to be a plan. And I don't mean a business plan. It needs to have some rudimentary information, like what is the idea, how is it, who is it going to impact, how much capital will it need, how much time will it take, who are the parties involved, and what are the milestones. That's the most important thing. What are the milestones that you need, and at what point do you need how much money? Now, I understand that most artists will be like, I've never done this. We'll have people to help you. So you can have an office hours session with people like me, Rachel, etc. Talk about your idea, and we'll help you complete that application. But we want to make sure that everyone has the same exact form kind of filled out with the same exact information. And you'll see why in just a moment. So during the idea submission phase, everyone submits their ideas. Then the ideas are closed. And now the project's guild team takes a moment, let's say a week, to review all those applications and filter out the ones that are obvious scams and things like that. They are not qualitatively looking for, is the idea good or whatever. They're just looking to see that is all the information there, and they might get back to you and say that, hey, you didn't provide this milestone, but it's a small filtering process. Now, out of that now is going to come a certain set of ideas. Those are going to be posted online, and now we are going to have a voting period. During that period, for that particular vote, we'll announce that, okay, each dreamer has 5 votes or 3 votes or whatever. You can pick 3 projects or 5 projects. So you, as a dreamer, can go and pick the projects that you want to vote for, and at the end of that period, there's going to be a certain outcome. There might be some tied ones, there might be some clear winners, etc. And so the next step is essentially to rank them and pick the ones that start getting the funding. So there is no ambiguity about this. You as a group made a choice, and so that's what gets funded. Now, obviously, we have to have levels of voting. Like, for example, it might be that if the project amount is 10,000 or more, then we need at least 60% of the dreamers or 70%, because we can't just have 10% of dreamers vote on something, and make it go through. So we have those thresholds, and we need those thresholds to be met in order for the funds to be released. So it will require dreamers to be active and participating in the voting process. But after that, the project's team then allocates the funds. It's not going to be like, here's a big amount of amount of money. It's by milestone. You achieve a milestone, you get a payout. You achieve the next milestone, you get a payout. And so that's how the projects work. And every project can avail of the marketing team, the product team, the tech team, all of those to get services. They don't have to pay for any of those elsewhere. We are going to provide those services to the teams, the project teams.
Amazing. So this is a good question about time zones, something we've been grappling with as a team, given that we're a multi-country team. What do you think on?
Yeah. So, the voting on major issues is going to span weeks or days even. So I don't think time zone is going to be a factor at all. We won't be having a vote that you got to show up at 8 a.m. and the vote ends at 9 a.m. Pacific time or something. That's not going to happen. So it will span multiple days, at minimum 24 hours, so everyone has a shot at it.
So what about this one?
Is artist role similar to director level work in Web2 world? Present, vote, submit proposal? Not really. I don't see that. Maybe for some of you, but you don't. Like, look, you don't have to submit a proposal if you don't want to. You can just be reviewing what other people have submitted and be a part of it. You can even not do any of that and just participate in communication, give your input, give suggestions, etc. But you have to start thinking about this differently from Web 2. We don't have analogies. We don't have a director level. If anything, the guild leads are really just orchestrating things more than anything else and making sure that things don't get out of hand. But yeah, I don't think that the analogy would work very well.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Sony's entering the metaverse. This is exciting. But yes, the best part is that we now, together with Nifty Dreams Collective, are once on par with these giants.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, right? Like, if we can get enough artists together and have a process and have a structure, all of these brands are going to see right away that this is the organization we need to deal with. Like, because it is really, really hard to rope in, this many artists and have a structure around it. Mm-hmm. So I think you're going to see that as we get organized here, that we are going to have more and more inbounds from big brands. And this is what I keep telling people, take your eyes off the marketplace. That is not the future. Think about the massive amount of money that is waiting for you with retail big name brands. Like, there is a lot of it. And if all of us can work together and get more dreamers signed up today, now we're looking at about close to 2,000 passes already sold. So that's great, but we need to move the needle faster on this. So my call to every artist here is, just get as many of your friends signed up. There are lots of artists who are not in the community circle that Rachel is in, I am in, etc. So we need to reach out to those communities of artists and get more of them in. And sometimes I get feedback that, well, people don't understand what we are doing. Well, explain it to them. The one sentence explanation is, do you want to have membership in an organization whose only purpose is to make sure that you as an artist can have a steady income at a level that you can pay your bills?
Yeah.
If people don't understand that, I don't know how I can help them.
And if they don't understand that, they should go watch Addie's video, because it's awesome. Yeah. Addie's video is pinned somewhere on our Twitter account, but it explains it in very basic, simple terms about what a DAO actually is, because there is that assumption, because we've known thus far is marketplaces, right? And the market is getting saturated with marketplaces. Really, nobody's doing anything particularly innovative that I've seen. They're kind of carbon copies of each other. Occasionally there's a few interesting ones, but there is going to come a point where it will max out, right? There will be too many marketplaces and not enough artists to populate.
Yeah. Even now, artists are struggling with which marketplace do I put my art in? Like, do I go to Foundation? Do I go to OpenSea? Whatever. And each marketplace they add, they fragment their time even further. And now they got to deal with the policies of that one. And yeah, it's not something you want to keep doing. Yeah.
I would actually say that if every artist that's been really trying hard to get on the likes of Super Rare, which, by the way, Super Rare as a marketer, they have done something so brilliant, because they've created this FOMO, right? People want to be a part of it without knowing that it's going to be successful for them. In fact, a lot of the artists I know that are on Super Rare don't have any different type of success. They've just created this FOMO that has made us as creatives believe that we need to be a part of it. That's the key to success. I bet if those who have been trying so hard to get on that platform put as much energy into like driving this DAO, like being a part of, getting to know the community that exists here, you'd have a much better chance at success.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of interesting questions here. This is great.
Let's get one of these. Here we go. Will DAO members continue communicating on Twitter? As an artist, I don't think Twitter will give us a chance to be organized.
We are super organized on Discord. We are adding all the channel structure has already been put in place. We are just starting to unlock it all for you. So as the guilds get formed, you will see very structured communication channels. So move to Discord. I know that some people absolutely dislike it. Okay, but we need a good way to communicate. And yeah, Twitter is too disorganized. It's not intended to be for structured communication, but Twitter is a good place to discuss ideas and get them out there. But Discord is it. As of yesterday, now we have a Dreamers only channel. So you need to validate that you are holding a Mint Pass in order to get into it, and that's where we'll be communicating important new programs, etc., for the Dreamers.
Yes, go get in the Discord. I'm going to be popping in there with something fun today. So make sure you get in there if you're a dreamer. I'm going to be taking a couple of questions from the marketing session yesterday. And just a note, if you didn't get to the session yesterday, the marketing session, we are going to do it again because we had some techie problems. We didn't have our tech guru with us on the session yesterday, so everything went awry. But we had an amazing session. So we're going to repeat it the week of, not next week, the week after. So we'll get a date for you guys. We'll get it all set up. And then obviously we can have access through the Dreamer channel. So a couple more great questions. Let's see. This is a question about the 10,000. What formulas do we have? Well, we have something really exciting coming. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen and talk about it.
This is when Nick, Nick is an ideas man too, and I'm an ideas person. And when we we throw ideas all the time, right? We're all kind of pooling our ideas to see what we can make work. When Nick suggested this, my light bulbs lit up because I think this is so, as an artist, right? I can see how amazing this can be. So I think you're going to love this.
All right, here we go. So I just shared this a couple of days ago, and here we are. I'm going to hide the comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I did it.
All right. So the Dream Forever project. So with the Dream Forever project, what we're going to do is launch a website very quickly, like in the next few days, actually. There's going to be a digital canvas with 100 by 100 squares. Each square is for a dreamer. It says auto assign, but we'll let you choose. Actually, that has changed since I made the slide. You can go and choose which square you want. Each square is associated with one Dreamer Mint Pass. So if you got a Dreamer Mint Pass, you can choose one. And we'll even let you drag across. And if you have like 4, you can choose a big square, And what we're going to ask you to do is to upload 2 content items. This canvas has a front and a back. So you want to upload an artwork that's a square for the front. You should think of this artwork as what artwork can I create that represents me forever, myself, my idea, my vision, my dreams, etc. And for the back, you have your profile photo, and it can be anything you want. By the way, the content for the front is not limited to static art. It can be a video, it can be music, it can be poetry, it can be whatever you want. It's totally dynamic. Any kind of digital media is welcome. Now, what we're going to do is have that canvas and have it start filling up. 100 times 100 is 10,000, right? So that's 10,000 Mint Passes. So we're going to give the opportunity for every Mint Pass holder to go there and pick the squares. And by the way, the ones who are already have a Mint Pass the day this is launched will get first priority. So we will put a pause on that date for any new people to be able to use this. So if you have a Mint Pass already when this launches, which I'm thinking will be Monday or Tuesday, something like that, you will get first priority for selecting your squares. Now, when this canvas is done, the DAO will mint one of one, the Dream Forever NFT, and whoever ends up owning it will have lifetime 100x voting rights in the DAO. And for every artist that participated in here, your artwork is going to be immortalized forever. Your picture is going to be immortalized forever in this one thing. Now, here's the best part. We are going to auction this off. We are going to market it like crazy. We're going to auction it off. And whatever the funds are, whether it's $100,000, $1 million, $100 million, whatever it is, we're going to divide it equally among all the 10,000 artists. that are represented here. So this would be huge. But there's one more thing. As you pick those squares, remember you're picking these, we are going to have hidden prizes in there.
Golden eggs, guys.
Yes, golden eggs. We are going to have 50,000 tokens, 10,000 tokens, 1,000,000 tokens even, and a few very, very special ones. And I'll let Rachel tell you about it because it's her brainchild.
Yes. So my brainchild is that there will be a number of squares, maybe 100, right, throughout this 10,000. And those 100 will actually get to have their artwork exhibited in Times Square.
So on the ginormous screen.
The big Jumbotron in Times Square. So you will not know. You have basically 110,000 chance of exhibiting your art in Times Square. So we don't know who. We're going to randomly do this. We will not know where these will be. But if you land on one, you could be one of those 100. And we will probably find a way to exhibit the actual piece itself as part of that exhibit. But if you're one of those 100, you're going to get your artwork in Times Square. What an amazing opportunity. So yeah, so we're going to...
And that's for $25.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know any artists who could look at this and go like, let me think if I should invest $25 for the opportunity to be on Times Square.
Yeah.
Guys, this is a no-brainer. Like, this is an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody has a great question here. If I have 2 tokens, does that mean I can use 2 squares? Yes, yes, and yes. So let's explain that, Nick.
Yeah, every Mint Pass is 1 square. So if you, and like I said earlier, we're going to let you just drag on there and select a larger, like if you, so your artwork essentially can be a composite, right? Like, so if you've selected 4 together, then you can make 4 artworks and position them in such a way that they make a bigger picture. You can do that. You can make it a line. You can choose as many as you want. You know, there's a limit of 5 per account. So yeah, you can buy those and you can choose more larger portions of the canvas.
Yep. So how exciting, guys. Like, this to me has my inner artist is like wanting to go buy squares, but I'm not allowed to, because I am a part of the team that's bringing this to you, but I'm going to live vicariously through all of you. I'm so excited to see what you put inside of this, whether you choose a block that is like, you know, if you've got multiple Dreamer tokens, maybe you'll choose a block to create a big piece of work, or maybe you'll just kind of scatter them around and somebody's going to win some really cool stuff. And who knows, by the time that the 10,000 have actually sold, we may have already added in some additional prizes. So you just never know what's going to be in there. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, the prizes are chosen after all 10,000 are filled, and we'll have a grand party, and we'll just have random call out squares, really, like square number, boom. And if that's you, you got that prize, you know? So yes, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I see so many people are super excited about this, loving it. Yeah, $25. I mean, look, I know that in some countries that's a lot of money. I get it. And for some people that's a lot of money. But like the ROI, we talk about the return on investment, right? The way I see it right now, there's a community here like no other, right? You have a global or like community of friends of other artists that you can bounce ideas off, you can get to know, you can collaborate. We also have, you know, all of these opportunities to have your work highlighted. You have the opportunity to vote and be a part of something much bigger. And then you have Nick, you have me, you have the rest of the team here to support you and champion you. So yes, I think it's a no-brainer. One of the best things that we can do to get to this point, to get to this Dream Forever project, to actually see this in Times Square, is to get more artists in the fold. You know, I know as creatives, we've been taught to be like scarce in our thinking, right? Because there has only been so many opportunities for us. But now as we enter this new renaissance, it's going to be just bigger than any of us can really comprehend. We need abundance abundant thinking. We need to think, let's see who else we can bring along in this journey with us. So go out, grab your artist friends, tell them about this. The more people we have in the DAO, the more we get to do things like this, big, grand, awesome projects.
Yeah. There's a question here about the auction, how long it's going to go on for. Well, it'll probably go on for I would imagine a month or so. We're going to market this to all mainstream media, we're going to do articles, we're going to do a PR campaign, etc. So this is not going to be like we want to maximize it, right? I want to be able to have this artwork sold for millions of dollars, not $10,000 or $100,000, etc. It should be in the millions of dollars.
I see this being like the Beeple, because Beeple did 10,000 days. It was 10,000 pieces of art. The way that we're going to approach marketing this is like taking this to the super rares, or maybe even the Sotheby's, the Christie's, and trying to get in front of them to say with the idea that this is a historic piece of artwork, because this is the real artists. It's a global collective of people that came together to create this one-off piece of work. So we're gonna think big, guys. We're not thinking small on this.
Yeah, I say this again and again, but I cannot. I have to repeat it. Every artist who today has a chance to buy a Dreamer Mint Pass for $25 and is sitting on the sidelines thinking, should I? There's going to be some massive FOMO when this is done. So this is not something you sit on the sidelines for, folks. This is something you get in early. And like I said, when we launch this, everyone who already has a Mint Pass gets first dibs on which squares they get to pick. So if you don't want to, if you want a sort of a central square or whatever, the Mint Pass needs to come now.
Noah Chaku, send me a DM. I got you. I'm gonna mint one for you, or I'm gonna send you the funds.
Yeah. So this is important. Like for the artists who can afford it, share it with other people. Like that was the goal of having the limit of 5, is so that you could, because remember, for Western Hemisphere countries, $125 is not it's not insignificant, but it's also not that significant, right? So you could help out people in developing countries by buying 5 and giving them out. And you could promote yourself in the process also, and we'll help promote you. Like you could say that, hey, and 2 artists have done that already. Nakul Sharma and Mayank Tiwari have done that. They've given away their artworks, and the Dreamer Pass. So this is good. We need more people to do that.
Yep. Yeah, I am going to give away 5. So if you do not have a Dreamer Pass and you're on this right now, go. You can see my Twitter account. Go send me a DM. So if you're somebody who cannot afford to get the pass, I have 5. So please do reach out. We got you. All right. So we're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes, but let's just see what's the best question here. What do we got?
I saw some people got multiple Nifty. It's not Nifty tokens; those are not yet available. But Mint Passes, what is the benefit of holding multiple? There's 2 major benefits. The first one is that you have a larger voting power. So each of those corresponds to a vote. So you have that. The second major benefit is that every Mint Pass comes with an airdrop of 870 Nifty D tokens. Those tokens are essentially the currency of the DAO. So if you have multiple tokens, just multiply 870 multiplied by 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to get more tokens for free. Essentially, they are airdropped, right? This is the only time when the DAO's tokens are going to be airdropped at no cost to anybody. In the future, you're going to have to buy them. They are not free at any time in the future. So if you want to get tokens for free, then you would want to get multiple passes.
Amazing. All right. Well, I see a couple of people in the comments saying they've not had a sale and they really want to get one. So like I said, our team are doing this all the time, guys. So because we believe in you, and if there are people that really cannot do this financially, I know Kelly has. We'll try and make it work for you. So drop us a DM. But folks, we need more artists in the DAO to make these big dreams happen. So go out, tell your friends, bring them in. Buy additional passes if you want to have obviously more voting rights. You want to have more squares on the Dream Forever auction. But let's just spread the word. Even a retweet today could be, instrumental for moving us forward. And yeah, that's pretty much it from us, Nick. What are you? Any final thoughts as you go into the weekend?
Things are moving very fast. Everything is coming together on a daily basis. I'm getting so many DMs from so many people expressing how thankful they are that this is happening. So we are at your service. We are doing this because this needs to be done. So think of us as a giant big family here now. And what do family members do? Help each other. So I'm asking for your help in reaching out to as many artists as possible to get this Dreamer Pass drop fulfilled so we can go on to the next phase. The next phase is what I'm itching to get into, because we get to raise $5.5 million and we get to build amazing things. But I cannot get to that phase until this the Dreamer passes are at least halfway, at least midway through. That's what I'm looking to do. So we are getting there. But it's too slow. We need to move it faster. So let's put that accelerator pedal down and get going.
Yeah, amazing. All right, guys. Everybody have an amazing weekend. Be safe. And of course, Nick, how are we closing it out?
Dream on and dream big.
All righty. Bye, guys.